Well, I don't know if you guys know about how I started with Assertive Way and how I realized that, the secret of success and happiness at work was assertiveness. Basically, I was in my 20s and I was following corporate life, but I had really low self-esteem because I had already failed in some of the other jobs. But I was a very good student, and I worked hard, and that's what I learned, at home, and the values that my parents passed on to me. Study hard, and I was always a great student, and then, work hard, and I was doing all of that, but I wasn't getting ahead. I felt like pretty stuck, and I'm like, what's the point? Like I had gotten my undergrad, I thought I needed more. I went, got my MBA, and then got in the good job, and then I'm like, okay, and what now? How do I move up? Like, I'm stuck. I see other people who don't have any of these degrees, who are not working nearly as hard, and they're moving up. And not only that, I was extremely, bored with my work. I was so bored. I would be yawning all the time. I don't know if you've ever been so bored that you can hardly, you're almost sleeping. You're working hard to stay awake. I mean, that's how bored I was, because the work was just repetitive, and there wasn't enough work. It wasn't interesting at all. And really, I've also felt pretty insecure to say something about it, and I was feeling pretty undervalued. I also was super introverted and shy. I have mostly been all my life introverted and shy, but also quite soft-spoken. And I've always tried to be a nice and kind, nice person. Didn't speak much, mostly a listener. At that point, I had no team in that particular company. I had teams before, but not in that company, which was a company abroad, because I really wanted that career abroad. I started looking for, positions or activity or work, interesting work within the other departments. So basically, I'd go around and I'd, talk to people that I felt comfortable speaking to, usually people that were more senior, and I'd ask them what they were up to, and I'd have them ask them questions like that. I knew how to do, just ask questions, and I'd engage them. Then I'd say, oh yeah, let me, I can help with that. I have, some extra bandwidth, and I'd get all these little side projects that would keep me interested. That stuff is what kept me interested. And so I was doing all this other side work. And at the same time, I got a little bit of courage, and I told my boss that, I'd like to do a little bit more of strategic work, right? And I had a good relationship with that particular boss in that point in time. And so, he was kind of helping me find some interesting, more strategic work to do where I didn't feel so bored and annoyed. Because at the end of the day, that lack of just giving me the work that I knew I could do so much better. I knew I had so much more capacity. It really made me feel undervalued and therefore underappreciated as an employee. They weren't recognizing my talents, really, my gifts that I had, and I wanted to contribute. I wanted to create more impact. I wanted to do stuff. I was hungry to grow and develop in the company. I also knew that if I didn't get interesting work, I wasn't going to get promoted, and I wanted to get promoted. I wanted to get a team. I wanted to get unstuck from that situation. I wanted to have meaningful work, and have meaningful relationships at work as well. And I wanted to get to know people, even though it was hard for me as an introverted person and somewhat shy. But really, I just also wanted to feel like I was being respected, treated fairly, because I knew I had all of these this great schooling and degrees. I wanted to feel motivated and energized when I was there and working. When I woke up in the morning and I went to work, and feel worthy, and not guilty for trying to make a difference, trying to get projects elsewhere, trying to achieve more. But yeah, it was almost like you feel like you're working so hard. You've worked so hard so many years, and then you just don't know how to move forward. You're totally stuck and you don't know what to do. And then something happened. I was doing all these side projects, right? One day, I was kind of in one of I wasn't in the team area. I was out. I was always out and about, right, looking for things to do. And my boss was like, I saw he came. He was looking for me. He found me. He's like, Eve, I need to talk to you immediately. So he pulled me away from, what I was doing, and he took me to an area and said, Ivna, we're in trouble, and if you don't stop immediately going off and doing all this extra work for other people, you're going to be fired. You have to stop immediately. And that was really just like I was already, like, my intention was to grow, to help other people, to contribute. And now I'm being told that I can't even do that. Like, I completely felt like I was a prisoner of this system, that it was extremely unfair. Because at the same time, I saw other people getting promoted, and I didn't see why they were getting promoted. They didn't have more experience than I had. They didn't have better degrees than I had. I'm like, why is this happening? Like, how am I supposed to deal with this? I was basically thinking, this is not worth it. Like, I don't even understand what's going on. And I even felt like, giving up. But because it just felt so wrong. And I was also feeling pretty guilty that I put my boss, who I liked, into trouble. Like, he tried to help me. He found this really cool project, and I felt like I was putting him in trouble. I was giving him trouble, with the VP. So he said this message because it was coming from like 2 levels above him. I'm thinking, right? Like, what's going on here? Like, I've done everything I was supposed to do. I've done everything I was taught to do by my parents, by society, by school, by my teachers, by university, by my MBA. Why am I getting stuck? I am willing to work. I'm willing to put in the hours, the effort. I know I'm smart. Like, what's going on? Why am I not progressing? Why are other people progressing? So I had to force myself to think about this, because I had never really considered, like, nobody ever really talked about it. And so I started analyzing what other people were doing and reading a bunch of articles around, Harvard Business Review and other kind of books. And, I even checked out, like, I read a whole bunch of books about office politics. I didn't like them because I thought, like, this is so much manipulation. And then there was one really good article that I found that was, like, not political and was not manipulative. It talked about, like, the power of perception rather than actual, like, work. It wasn't about me trying to put more hours. I was already putting more hours than anybody else. It was more about managing perception. And I also thought I need to. So I learned, like, from all that reading, that I had to, and the people that I was observing who were getting promoted, that I had to speak up more. I had to be more visible. But that was hard, like, especially in meetings with a lot of people. Like, as an introvert, it was really hard to speak up, and that was, like, the big challenge. But at the same time, I felt like it was unfair that just because I was, quiet and I wasn't talking about everything that I was doing, broadcasting it, that I didn't deserve the promotion, and people who were doing way less were getting promoted. And so I decided to, at that point, I couldn't go off and talk to other people. So I was like, my boss said, you gotta just go to your desk, stay at your desk, don't walk around, don't talk to people, just keep your head down. I'm like, God, this is annoying. I'm like, okay, what can I do with this time, right, other than read those articles? And I was trying to do it hidden. I didn't want others to see, but still, I didn't have a lot of work. Definitely not interesting. And so I decided to make a presentation, and I started working on, like, thinking about ideas, just random ideas, just getting super, super nerdy, which, I am. So it was my comfort zone. And I would, like, research stuff and create all these theories, and then start putting in a presentation, making it bigger, bigger, bigger. And I said, at some point, hey, Ivna, all you're doing is creating this really complex thing, and you're not talking to anyone about it. Like, you have to share. Like, everything that I had been seeing is, like, you have to speak up, you have to share. And I was so scared of talking to authority. And so the VP for the department had about 300 people, and the VP at the time, I said, I want to present this to him. And what happened in between this is that my boss changed. So I got a new boss. I didn't know much about him. But I also wanted to present this to the VP. Now this was really hard because it was, many levels above, and it was scary, like super scary to knock on his door. I never really knocked on his door. I didn't have any relationship with him, and I was still building a relationship with my new boss. I didn't want to hurt his feelings. I didn't want to step over him, and I wanted to follow all the rules and everything. But I knew that I had to that boss was not going to appreciate my ideas, for sure, right? Because these ideas were really conceptual. So I really wanted to get to the VP. And so one day I just got the courage. I said, you just got to do it. And I went there, and the VP's door, and it's and I knocked, and I was so scared, and I waited, and then he's come in, and then I came in, and I said, oh yeah, I'm sorry to bother you, but I have this idea and I wanted to share it with you. He's like, okay. And I said, it's a presentation. Can we schedule it sometime? It won't take a long time. It'll be short. And then he scheduled, and I came. But this was really hard to do, to knock on his door, because I was feeling guilty, because I was I didn't bring my new boss with me. I didn't even tell my new boss I was doing this. This was the VP that was the same VP that basically told my previous boss to be quiet and stop talking to others. So I was kind of mad as well. And I was super insecure, because I really didn't think I was great. I didn't think there was anything special about me, and I wasn't getting anywhere. They weren't even giving me good work. So I didn't think they thought very highly of me either. I thought this idea was not that, sometimes I thought it was great. Other times I thought this is just terrible, presentation. Seriously, nobody's going to understand. But I worked really hard on that presentation. It was super conceptual. So he's not going to really get it, but whatever. I just need to do something. And so I did. And so I went there, and I shared the presentation, and he didn't make a lot of expressions. So this was the first time I've ever had a meeting with this guy, just me and him, me and the VP. And it was a flat face, and I couldn't really interpret. I was presenting for 20 minutes, and I couldn't capture anything. I couldn't tell if he was liking it or not. And then I got to the end, and he's you are in the top 10% of this department of 300 people. And all of these people were planning people, because this was a department related to planning. It's you are in the top 10 people in this department. It's top 3%, right? Top 10. And this is fascinating. You did this yourself? I'm yeah. Has anybody seen this? No. And then he said, this is genius. This is really good stuff. And he said, I've been thinking I need to create a group of the top 10 people in the department for you guys just to come up with these ideas. And I felt so good. I didn't believe him. I thought that was it. All of that feeling of not being recognized and not be taken seriously, not being listened to, not being heard, suddenly that vanished, and I felt so good. And I felt, this is the same guy that told me to basically stop and put my head down in my desk and do, just not talk to anyone. But in that moment, I felt so good, and I said, that's amazing, right? And then here's what happened. So a few weeks went past, and then my new boss, right? My new boss, I didn't even have a relationship with him yet, but he called me to the corner, at the end of the day. It was already dark. He called me to the corner, and kind of, in a very low voice, he said, Ivna, I have something to tell you. And then he said, I've been talking to, the VP, the same guy who liked my presentation, and we've decided that we want to give you a new role. It's a brand new position. It's a brand new department that you're going to head. You're going to get a few resources to start off with. You can basically call it whatever you want. Just make a proposal. Create the JD. We were thinking this is the idea. And oh, by the way, this department idea came from another VP who I had already interacted with on the hallways. I had built a relationship with from a completely different department. And, with that VP, I felt more comfortable talking, because he wasn't as rigid and segregated from the rest of us. And I had some meetings with him like formally because of my work, but with other people. We had a few conversations, and that's where it kind of came from. And that VP talked to my VP, and then they talked to my boss, and then they made this offer. And it was a promotion, and I didn't have a team at the time. I was going to get some resources, which I totally wanted. It was a formal promotion, so increased my pay. I got the title, and it was amazing. Like, it was the most amazing thing ever. And I thought, wow, like, going from almost fired to and feeling totally bored and undervalued to this, like, I feel good. And with that, I felt like motivated and energized and valued. And that kept me busy for a very long time. Like, setting up a department from scratch is a great, fun thing to do. Strategic, definitely not boring. It was a great challenge. Set up a team. So I had a lot of fun with that, and that wouldn't have happened without that. So even my self-confidence went up a lot. Like, before, my self-confidence was just vanishing. I felt more control over my career, and I realized how important it is for us to like talk about the things that we want. If I hadn't actually talked about these things, then I hadn't asked, and I hadn't asked to make a presentation, if I hadn't gone out there and kind of networked with people, even though I was super shy and introverted, even though I got that warning, like, I wouldn't have gotten this promotion. And not only that, and what happened was that I was getting a team, and one of these people was like people that I interacted with, like colleagues. And there was this girl who joined my team, but she was basically, she had been working there for like 6 years. And she had an amazing like job. Like, she did something in the IT area that nobody else knew how to handle. It's just her. And like, she had a little team and everything, some analysts. She wanted promotion, right? She would talk to me about it. Like, she would complain, but she never asked for a promotion. So I, given my experience, I said, hey, why don't you just ask for it? Like, what could go wrong? Like, why don't you ask for and she wanted to change her role. Like, she had been working on that for like 6 years. She was kind of tired of it. But why don't you ask for a promotion? Why don't you ask for a change? Why don't you see where it goes? Just try it out. And she finally got the courage, and she did it. And then she got the promotion, and she got a change in her role. And they put her into my team, and now she like worked with me, which was absolutely fun and amazing. And we worked together for something like 5 years. So it was really phenomenal. Great person. And I'm thinking, wow, like, there's so many people out there who are afraid of asking for what they want, and it's not like, and I am introverted still to this today, and I wanted to find a way to be able to get things that I wanted to grow in the company without having to be extroverted, because I saw a lot of the people that were moving up were like extroverted. I'm like, what about the introverts? How can we move up? Besides, like, if we've already done everything that we could, if we work hard and get our degrees and everything in great schools, what next? What more? So it was a great moment of discovery for me. And I finally felt like, hey, I have some control again over my destiny, over my career, over my work happiness, So yeah, that's how we started. And that's how I realized, wow, this is the power of taking care of yourself, advocating on your behalf, asking for what you want, showing what you're worth. And so that's how I figured that out. So that's our story. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have confident, candid, and caring conversations, and check out some of our articles and quizzes and other, you have a weekly newsletter at assertiveway.com. So thank you once more, and I will see you in the next one.